Here are some more unique options of what grandkids can call their grandparents. Grammatical error and granite countertop.
Granimal and granesthesia.
Heather Graham and Lindsey Graham.
Noogie and boogie.
Twinkie and Ho-Ho.
Urkel and gibbler.
Ping Pong and Ding Dong.
Nobi and pard.
Boingo and Hotspot.
Hey, fun fans, it's We Enjoy. It's our News and Use episode. We've got news, we've got use. Let's get to's it. We are the Mattitude Eric. I'm Matt Fowler. Say hello, Eric Goldman.
Choose it or lose it. Hello, everybody.
I was particularly, for no reason I can pinpoint, unenthused about this morning's podcast. Just like,
you don't want to talk to me?
No, it's not you. It's the content. It's the content, Eric. It's talking about the biz. Sometimes it weighs heavy. Sometimes it wears you down. So I'm gonna flip the script. Let's start with recommendations.
Oh,
how about that?
What the
hell?
hell?
I start with news on top.
What?
Recommendations, which is weird because I have none. So really, Eric, do you have a recommendation?
I do, because the review embargo just dropped and I didn't have my review ready because I have 3 episodes left. But I'm recommending Spider-Noir.
Okay, cool.
Which I've seen the first 5 of 8, and I'll finish the other 3 later today. I've been watching the black and white version. They gave us screeners of both versions.
When you watch it on streaming, do you have the option of choosing?
Yes, that's their. But yeah, they're going to put out.
That's their shtick, right? Yeah,
that's their shtick, and I definitely want to check out the color episodes because it really looks cool in the trailers. Like if you watch the trailer in color, like they went for like Technicolor, like the show is visually striking in either version, and man, does it look cool though in black and white. You know, they really go for it as far as like the noir look and really beautiful shots and some shots I was pausing on, even though it's a screener, so it's got my fucking email across it.
Yeah.
Shit.
Is it? Is it like big in the center? Is it
not the center? It's not one of the worst. Amazon doesn't do the worst. Disney ones are pretty bad, but no, it looks so good. And it really embraces, that setting, and it's just kind of cool to have this crime noir story with this version of Spider-Man or the Spider, and I just think it works. Like, it's a big swing, and I really appreciate it. And
besides the old Nicky Cage, who else is in this series?
The people that people would recognize most are Brendan Gleeson as Silvermane, who's the main villain, as the gangster from the comics. And then Lamorne Morris from New Girl is Robbie Robertson, who's
or from the last season of Fargo, where he got an Emmy nom for it.
He is playing Robbie Robertson, who here is a reporter who is Ben Reilly's best buddy. And then Lee Jun Lee, who kind of was a breakout in Sinners last year, plays Cat Hardy, which is obviously their take on the Black Cat, who's the femme fatale of this story, who walks into the PI's office with a case for him. And then Jack Houston, who obviously
I did see his name there. Okay, yeah,
he's the Sandman, and we were Boardwalk Empire fans, so we've seen Jack Houston in a very similar period piece, not similar as far as stylistically.
Sure.
But we've seen him in
also. I'm trying to think. Has he been in? I saw him in Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, and then I can't remember if I've seen him in anything else.
Well, that's funny you should mention because he was in the 4th season of fucking Fargo. You fake Fargo fan.
Fargo? Oh wait, 4th season of Fargo.
Yeah,
that's so many years ago at this point.
Yes.
Anyway, up to Fargo season 17 or so. It's not quite American Horror Story, but it feels like it sometimes. Fargo.
He was in the pandemic year 2020. He pops up in a lot of stuff, but we know him best from Boardwalk. Anyway, really good show. Fun how they use the villains. I didn't know the actor who's playing Tombstone, but Abraham Popolula, who
sounds good.
Yeah. Anyway, he plays Lonnie Lincoln, aka Tombstone. It's really cool. The stylistic big swing of it, I think, completely works. And I'm just like, I was very excited when I was like watching the first couple episodes. I was just like, oh shit, yeah, this is doing it. This is working for me really well. I'm looking forward to
We're doing it.
And the first episode is next week, May 25th. Strangely on MGM Plus in the US, but then it's also going to be on Prime, has on May 27th. So it's got a weird sort of double release. And Lord and Miller, they're not creatives on this, but they are EPs on this with their sort of Spider-Verse connection. And of course, that means the trailers can say from producers of Spider-Verse and Project Hail Mary at this point. So check it out.
I'll say this for Fargo season 4.
Mhm.
It wasn't my favorite season, but it was the season that introduced me to the entire concept of Jessie Buckley existing as an actress, because she's a big part of that season.
Mm.
Now she's had a lot more movie theater breakout roles here, but she has a big supporting role in that. And I'll also say that Jack Houston is in it. I don't recall the season all that well. It was fine. It's the Chris Rock season, but it takes place in 1950. So Jack Houston only exists in these like 40s, 50s period pieces, as far as I could ever tell, or with Boardwalk 1920s. I'm saying he's got a yesteryear star quality. So
I didn't put this down as news, but this morning, here's my train of thought. You mentioned that that was in your introduction to Jessie Buckley, which reminded me just this morning about posting about the fact that breaking news this morning was that Tom Hardy apparently has been fired from his show Mobland due to coming in late and creating
due to basically behaving like Tom Hardy behaves. Yes.
Being like Tom Hardy on a show that also has was it Pierce Brosnan and Judi Dench on it, and there's some talk that maybe he didn't like that it was becoming more of Helen Mirren, not Judi Dench, that he didn't like that.
God damn you, yeah.
That it was becoming more of a ensemble than he'd like it to be the Hardy show, but who knows if that's true or not. Anyway, he's out of that show, and I did a jokey post about, well, this will free him up to do Taboo season 2, which is totally happening, because referencing the FX series that at the time they claimed would eventually be back and will never be back.
It'll never be, yeah.
But someone replied to me saying, well, at least that show introduced me to Jessie Buckley, and I didn't know she was on that show. So there you go.
I did not watch Taboo, except maybe you probably watched the pilot, but I don't recall Jessie Buckley in that.
I watched the pilot because they did a TCA panel that I remember Tom Hardy was on, and maybe Jessie Buckley was too.
I enjoy that you are as confused about dames as the Spider from Spider-Noir, Eric.
Yeah, there you go. See?
Getting your Helen Mirrens and your Judi Denches mixed up. Old Brits.
I'll say, by the way, my one thing about my biggest suspension of disbelief in Spider-Noir is clearly Nicolas Cage is probably at least 15 years older than this character is supposed to be.
Sure.
And you just have to accept that. Like, that it's like, this is written for a guy who's probably mid 40s and he's, in his 60s. And you're just like, all right. That's Hollywood, baby.
You just roll with it, baby. That's what Steve Winwood was talking about. I also want to ask you, you said it looks so visually striking in either way you watch it, whether it's Technicolor or black and
I
white.
shouldn't say for sure with the color because I only go and get the trailers. Yeah.
Right. But I guess what I'm asking is like, is it at least, and I'm not saying that these movies look bad or dated. I think they fit for the graphic novel feel of it, but like, does it look better than something like a Sin City or a Spirit or the takes, even though those weren't like, black and white, but like that sort of noir comic book look?
It definitely does. I saw in the closing credits, ILM did effects on this show, so they're spending money on this show. Now, that doesn't mean every single shot looks like, exactly perfect. And I will say there's something to the fact that the black and white, I think, lets you be a little more forgiving when something doesn't look 100% realistic, because it almost like leans into the style. But I am really impressed because they clearly, I could tell that some of this is on the Universal backlot, but between the sets they built, and I'm 100% sure because I know how things are made these days, digital extensions to make like New York 1933, just that it looks really cool. And that, his like web swinging and all that looks great. And that once in a while, I was like, oh, that looks a little fakey, but it really does lend itself to the black and white of it all and feeling like it's like just something from another era. Also, by the way, there is copious smoking in this show, including from our lead character, which is very notable in 2026, but being period accurate. And apparently, Matt, and I believe it, one of the reasons they had to change his name to Ben Reilly is because Marvel's like list of rules for the depiction of Peter Parker is like he can't be like smoking and drinking. And so if this were like because Spider-Noir is typically a Peter Parker, I think that's what his name was even in Spider-Verse. But this is a hard drinking, smoking guy, so that's why the Ben Reilly name got used.
Can Peter vape?
I don't know. They might have to update it.
You telling me when Peter, in what looks like in the trailer for A Brand New Day, goes to MJ and Ned's housewarming party, he can't imbibe? He can't have a drink?
I don't know if it's like literally he cannot have a sip of alcohol.
Is he like, I'll just take an apple juice, please?
I think I would love if it got into like with moderation.
Yeah.
But
like he can sip but not gulp. Yeah.
Right. But I know smoking is a no-go, and obviously smoking is just something you just don't see.
No, you don't. And so a few things. One, I think Peter in that housewarming party scene should do something like the guy from Can't Hardly Wait, where he's like, the beer has gone bad.
I thought you were gonna say he should like snort a line of coke. Like,
yeah, like actual hard narcotics are on the table.
So he's like, this one we snuck past Feige when he was
like black tar heroin is the only thing that Peter can take part of. The other thing is, now I forgot the other thing. That's how my brain works. What were you saying?
Team me
up again.
No, I mean, I think that was all that I backtracked for a second because it made me think about, I was, thinking about the Peter Parker rule and the smoking and drinking of it all.
Smoking and drinking of it. I remember now. Is the smoking in Spider-Noir smoking, or are they just holding lit cigarettes?
I'm 90% sure people are taking a drag. Like, yeah.
And if they're taking a drag, Eric, is it CG smoke? Like,
I
know
believe,
what I mean?
yes. But I actually am glad you mentioned that, because there are moments where I think they are digitally enhancing things like sunlight through the windows and stuff. But I'm okay with it. Like they are.
I just think it would be very funny, since we're getting into like semantics of rights and contracts and censorship and loopholes and stuff like that. If like you can have smoking on your show so long as the actors never inhale. Now, a lot of times, sometimes that involves somebody just holding a cigarette, an unlit or lit cigarette, but never putting it in their mouth to inhale. It'd be interesting if on this show the loophole was they do inhale but digitally. Like the actors on set aren't actually poisoning themselves with cigarettes.
That is very specific contractual rules here.
That's Hollywood, baby.
It is.
Let's get into some Youse. See, I'm doing things all topsy-turvy.
What?
But I think some of the Youse will feed into our news. So there you go. First of all, a couple people mentioned the movie that we were bringing up when we were talking about on the latest Bourne episode that we were doing. The movie where
the dog,
right? So the movie where assassins have to raise a dog and then shoot it. And I will attribute this though to Kieran, who wrote in saying that it was the first Kingsman movie. And from what I recall now that my memory's jogged, it's that you don't actually have to kill your dog, just shoot it. So the whole thing is this guy shot his dog, but then just raised the dog injured, with like a lamp, shot his dog in the leg. Then we've got Scott.
Wait, what was that? What was it from? I'm sorry, but what did you say?
Oh, the first Kingsman movie.
Oh, yes. Because when you said that, I was like, it's absolutely something I've seen. So, okay.
Right.
All the people who told us that, thank you.
Scott wrote in because Scott previously had written in talking about how he didn't like Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and we were feeding into AI, and we mentioned something along the lines of, I wonder if Scott would like AI. So Scott wrote back because we inquired. I enjoyed this movie much more. The characters were interesting. I enjoyed I don't know, did Shelley Goldman write this? Anyway, I enjoyed the plot, and the acting from Haley Joel Osment was tremendous. Not sure if the effects or age of Close Encounters of the Third Kind got to me, but something about the slower and more deliberate scenes in AI really worked for me, says Scott.
Yeah, no, I mean, AI, again, it's not a movie. It just doesn't seem to be for everyone, but there's something about the mood of that movie that I've always felt particularly enticing. And it is, as we talked about, it's interesting to have Spielberg, someone known for warmth and like a lot of like, accessibility, doing a story that Stanley Kubrick, who is not known for that, was intending to do. And I think doing a pretty good job of it, because those scenes, especially like the suburban stuff at the beginning, that Spielberg is so good at making like a really inviting suburban situation, even as something like Poltergeist, when it's going to go to hell. But in here, it all feels like creepy and off-putting, and like that something's off. And I think that's really interesting about the movie.
Well, the world sucks too. The
Yes.
future world we're entering already is just sort of a blanket of morose terribleness. And then, so there's a few write-ins here, and I don't have the names, but they just sort of pinged us separately here and there, like on Patreon and stuff like that. One was somebody who was wondering why there was no Mortal Kombat 2 breakout episode, and I didn't realize. I was like, we didn't do a 1, right? Like we haven't necessarily been like franchising the Mortal Kombat movies.
Yeah,
So.
and here's the thing.
Also, I haven't seen it yet. So
Yeah,
like it wasn't a priority.
and yeah, we like as someone who enjoys Mortal Kombat as a franchise, and I've actually had what 3 or 4 of the games, but I'm in no way like an expert, and like yeah, yeah, those are not movies I super not to say we'd never do an episode about Mortal Kombat, but yeah, I don't think it was.
Those are 3 or 4 more of the games than I've ever owned. So
oh really? Okay.
Yeah, it was never like a
Mortal Kombat 3 on Super Nintendo. That was a big one for me.
And then someone asked about and the way they ask is usually sort of along the lines of what no boys finale breakout episode or season 5 breakout episode, and no, I guess not, but we can talk about what we thought of the boys and what we thought about the new VOUGHT Rising trailer that just landed today at the same time.
Did strongly consider asking Matt Fowler, should we do a boys finale episode? And just
did you do that?
I didn't do it. I thought about doing it, but then I was like, I have a busy week. I'm juggling a bunch of stuff. We're gonna do a breakout this weekend for Mando and Grogu. I'm not sure if Matt's even up on the boys. I could have asked him, but I didn't. So
I was up on the boys. I did watch the finale, like the morning after I watched it.
Okay,
but yeah,
but I apologize. We didn't do a breakout for that. It was something that I did think about in the lead up to it.
I haven't. So one of the things that I'm less in touch with than you are is the discourse, the capital D discourse of the online world. Some of it's just by the way I use the internet. Some of it's on purpose because I think a lot of it's bullshit and manufactured, and we're all just chasing our own tail just to feel anything. So, but yeah, people started coming down on the boys, which just seems to happen with acclaimed shows after their second season. There's a window of appreciation that is ever shrinking these days for how long we enjoy something. Mm-hmm. And it seems to be, even if the show continues to do the same thing it's been doing, even if it's like not escalating in its remarkability and it's just sort of maintaining, well, that means the whole show is horseshit. There was also a tipping point when all the MAGA fuckers suddenly realized when the show got more blatant that it was about them. Right. Then that sort of toxic side of our humanity sort of needed to sound off. I mean, I don't care about them. I don't consider them part of any discourse, and that's why I shy away from discourse, is because we're giving voice and volume to sides that don't warrant a response or attention to their opinion. Like why we care about people upset about black hobbits. Like why is this a dialogue? Why do we pay attention to them? Why are they given space? Anyway, so the consensus I saw was that a lot of people hating on the final season of The Boys. And you're allowed to feel what you feel. You're allowed to think that the show went off course or didn't fulfill things the way you wanted. That's just the nature of TV and long form storytelling. I was ever at most a casual boys watcher, and it delivered unto me what I wanted from boys. The thing I wanted most to happen.
We should keep this concise and not too.
Yeah, the thing I wanted most to happen happened. So I'm a happy Matt Fowler. So whatever, like. But I also VOUGHT Rising looks fun and I want to watch it, and I enjoyed Gen Z spinoff, and so anyway, like it is giving me what I want, and I'm not looking for more than that. So
no, I like the final season as well. I like the finale. I especially liked where the finale went, and it's like last third, which I thought was the most interesting part of it. When it felt like they were wrapping things up, but they weren't. I thought that was really interesting. I will say the one big complaint about the final season I did think was a legitimate complaint that I thought was an issue with the final season is that having Jensen Ackles back in such a large way, and a lot of the things that happen around him were very blatant setup for this spinoff. And it was a little, in a show that only has 8 episodes, be different if they had a lot more. It did stand out to me that it's like, oh, we're spending a lot of time.
It stood out that like the fate of his character has a question mark, and also there's a revenge story that didn't get sort of settled either, considering like the mother's milk of it all. Yeah. So
going really into his history, with why am I forgetting her name? The Nazi
Stormfront, Ayakashi's
Stormfront.
character.
Yeah, bringing in Bob Sight with the actor who's going to play him in in VOUGHT Rising. There was a little much of that, but I still enjoyed the season overall. I still enjoyed the finale. And the VOUGHT Rising trailer, I think looks really cool as we're talking about Spider-Noir and how it's
Interesting to
always fun.
hear her using Stormfront's, I can't remember the character's name, like using her German accent.
Clara, I believe.
Clara, there we go.
Yeah. She's actually got a German accent. But yeah, I think as we're talking about Spider-Noir earlier, doing these period pieces, look, it's a cool thing with the couple times the MCU has done it, of like putting these characters into this very specific time period. It makes it feel different. It makes it
So this
not
is 1950. No,
Mhm.
Jack Houston is not a part of this show.
yet.
But Jensen Ackles is the lead, and Aya Cash is back, who I'm always excited to see. And we've got the guy who played Bombsight, of course, returning to play Bombsight, and then also a bunch of people who don't necessarily know, except recurring. There's Cecily Strong, Mark Pellegrino, James Wolk, and the dude who played Godolkin on Gen Z season 2 is back. So
He'll pop up at some point. Do you remember on The Boys how there was a recurring character who, whenever they'd go into like the VOT control room, there was like a nerdy girl with glasses, and she became kind of this like go-to of like when they would like go in and say like, are you tracking this? And whether it was Robin or whoever it was would go in and talk, and she was the one constant. And then she got killed in season 4 when the Deep and Black Noir were told to kill anyone who knew too much. Is
yeah,
any of this ringing a bell?
sure, why not? I don't know.
Okay. Anyway, that actress is going to be on Survivor 51. The cast had leaked from Survivor 51, and they said a Canadian actress, and people said, "Oh my God, it's Annika from The Boys." So there you go.
I'm looking at her picture right now just to see. Oh,
Annika.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was the girl in the chair.
The
Right?
girl in the chair. She was the girl in the chair. When I did my rewatch to write the video I did for IGN, just recap of the entire series, I was like, oh yeah, she was definitely like one of those people that they obviously must have liked the actress, and she'd come back once or twice a season until she didn't.
Until she got drowned in jizz and shit. I don't know.
And
The way everyone on The Boys dies. And the way everyone on the pit dies.
Oh,
too.
I'm sorry, and this is season 4. I can say spoilers. Season 4. Homelander lasered her through her head. So there you go. She got a Homelander laser head.
I don't think that dude's head screwed on right. I gotta be honest with you. Speaking of Eric Goldman and IGN, you guys were a news sensation.
Oh my!
Yahoo News.
No, Eric Golden is a news sensation.
Holy shit! Is that what Yahoo News wrote?
That's what Cosmo wrote, and it's been picked up. And
did Cosmo write it, and then it's been aggregated everywhere?
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah.
Which means that it's a good chance your parents or grandparents will see this, listeners, because it's been aggregated to all those like weird 20-year-old news sites that people still read. Is that so something came out where Miles Teller said something like he's avoided like basically magazine style editorial profiles about him because of a one that went awry, that got away from him, that went sideways with Esquire back in 2015, where he wound up being called a dick, in the article itself, because he was probably acting like a dick. But then IGN's own Jim Vejvoda posted a little anecdote about interviewing Miles Teller on it was a tweet. Are you guys overdoing this on X?
Yeah,
What are you
this was on Twitter. Yeah,
because I don't think things get really picked up on Blue Sky. But so he tweeted about it. Basically, Miles Teller being weird and answering a question, sort of vulgarly, when he said, "What next big things are coming up in your career?" And he said, "My dick." And then you responded, and then you both got aggregated into oblivion.
Yes, we did. We sure did. This article in Cosmo. First Jim's tweet went viral, which I had to tell him about because he wasn't looking, so he didn't see that his tweet went viral, which meant he was getting like the bots, a mixture of a few Miles Teller stands, but mostly bot. And it's funny because Jim didn't even say anything like didn't tear
No,
into
he
me.
reported what happened, and he
He-
didn't like do a commentary about it
No, but
necessarily.
it's getting all these people that are like attacking him for attacking.
By the
Miles
way,
Teller.
the fact that we exist in a world where there are Miles Teller bots,
Yes.
it's the massive fan four stick fans out there
Yeah.
just rallying for that
Yes.
movie.
So that was the first thing that the tweet went viral, and then Cosmo wrote the story, and then they called me Eric Golden in it. So
And you were like, "Stay golden, pony boy."
and I am golden forever. Better, as I told Jim, because he pointed out the article and that I was Eric Golden, I said it's better than the time I got quoted in a Twitter conversation with Evan Rachel Wood, where they said, and then some guy said to her, and I was literally some guy. I think I was BuzzFeed that called me some guy. So Eric Golden is a step above some guy.
I don't have a full recommendation this week, except I did enjoy, with some caveats, the Apple series Maximum Pleasure Guaranteed with Tatiana Maslany and Jake Johnson. I gave it a review for IGN that was positive with some drawbacks, but and I could have seen a new movie, but I didn't. I wound up seeing Obsession. Because I was weeks behind on that movie. So I had to let Eric know that I finally saw a movie that he's probably seen, 4 times by now?
Matt, you saw that movie in like its 6th day of release. What do you mean?
Felt like 2 weeks. It had been, it had been 2 weeks since you recommended it.
I know, but it's going into its 2nd weekend. So
I don't believe that. I feel like it's been out a month already. People want to shut the fuck up.
It's been out 1 week.
So... But what I'll say about this is that I went and saw it on a Tuesday evening, and I saw it with a friend, and we were going to just see it at a regular run-of-the-mill theater, a Cinemark, instead of a Alamo. Wound up seeing it at an Alamo because all the Cinemarks, especially the one that's really close to me that we were planning to go to, all the primetime showings, all the 7 p.m., like 6:30 to 8 o'clock showings at the 4 to 5 Cinemarks around me, were sold out. And also, I mean, like, I could have sat either there were no 2 seats together, or we could have just sat in the second fucking row or something ridiculous. So, but it's also cheap movie Tuesday, so that was another idea why people were probably going more on a Tuesday than you would expect, because that's when there are reduced ticket prices generally for movie theaters. But wound up having to go to Alamo, drive a little further anyway. But yeah, so I saw it. There you go. You happy now?
I'm very happy. But yeah, let's just talk about this very pleasant surprise. Because look, it wouldn't take much for this movie to be a financial success. It was made for under $1 million. Now, Focus paid $15 million for acquisition at a film fest. But it's funny because there's so many stories in recent years where these giant payouts, because there's buzz at a film fest, do not turn into hits. So this is actually a big case of the opposite. But this is a legit breakout hit in a way we rarely see these days, because of what happened with the box office, where it kept going, like its weekend estimate kept going up. And then the crazy thing is, a movie that I don't think anyone ever expected to be number 1 at the box office was number 1 Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. That this was the movie that, buzz is clearly hugely broken out on this movie. Word of mouth is broken out on this movie. And I was so pleasantly surprised to see that this was the number 1 movie all week. And now it is most likely going to go up or stay flat on its second weekend. Again, something that just doesn't happen after it had a really good opening for a movie of its size. So yeah, we've got like a legit sort of breakout word of mouth hit here with Obsession. And that's just really cool because it's a great movie. And it's harder and harder to have something like this happen sort of organically the way this did.
And man, it's really good to have. And again, it was made for $1 million or less, or whatever you want to read. Like, it was a micro budgeted movie, but it's still like, it. There's nothing about it that feels cheap or anything, even though it takes place in like 4 different locations. You know what I mean? It's all interiors mostly. It was
Burbank, baby, shot in LA. Amazing.
You can tell why it cost that little, because there's not a lot necessarily happening. I was more impressed with its 20-day filming schedule, only because of the emotional toil that the characters have to go through, specifically Nikki. Like condensing that. Obviously, we've heard of run and gun like indie movies and low budget movies having a really tight schedule, but it's like, man, that's a lot to pack in for poor, and I don't know her name, Indy
Navarrete.
Okay.
Yeah, I was really so 750,000 budget, but I was really shocked that it's shot in LA too. but then I recognized places, and people pointed out other places I didn't recognize that I should have, just because again, less and less films in LA. So this movie, like, sort of, yeah, bucking the odds and modern day filmmaking in a lot of ways. And let's just say, this morning, Variety ran a "Here's Why Indy Navarrete should get like awards consideration" editorial, and there's going to be a lot of that. And it's funny because I had a semi-viral tweet saying, "Yeah, I think this is I." All I said in my tweet was, "Focus is going to campaign her. That this movie's financial and critical. By the way, it's like a 94% critics and audiences on Rotten Tomatoes. Like, oh, A- cinema score, and horror movies never do well on cinema score. A- is amazing for a movie, and especially how bleak this movie is. That was
Yeah.
like, it really shows you how this movie has this sort of magic touch of being bleak but also fun. And so people don't walk out of it like, in the way they do with like a lot of depressing horror movies. So I said, all I did was I tweeted, they're going to campaign her, whether she or not she actually gets nominated. That's going to be up to what happens with the rest of the movie year. But the fact that Variety now is running their like, here's why she needs to be considered. I'm like, oh shit, yeah, this movie's going to get like, it'll be talked about all year. The fact that Amy Madigan just won an Oscar for a quote unquote regular horror movie, I think will only kind of put a lot of boost behind this. So yeah, just kind of a really cool to see when something like this happens.
You know what I discovered? So a lot of the theater chains now run the Monday mystery movies, and they're all branded differently at the theater chains. Alamo, it's called the Mystery Machine, and then AMC and Cinemark have their own different thing. But it's been going on for a while now, so that there is a massive Reddit thread about when a new one's like, because I was considering going to one on May 11th. There was Monday night, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll go to the Mystery Machine. But I know now that I could go there, and there'll be based on like clues and run times, people will know what it will be, or have at least two theories about what it could be. I went and the last one I went and saw was I caught some Aaron Taylor Johnson movie called Fuse. It's a heist movie with like Gugu and Bothra and some people. But I was hoping it was Obsession. And when I saw this, and what I learned is that every time I've gone to one of these hoping it's a recent horror movie that's coming out, they don't show horror movies at these ones because they don't spring horror movies on people.
Yes,
So
yes.
I feel like first of all, I feel like if you go to a thing and it's like you don't know what the movie is until the credits start, you should be ready for anything. But they've decided that they're not going to inflict a surprise horror movie on somebody, which is kind of a bummer. So now I know going to these things that I'll never catch like the horror movie that might be out in 3 weeks or something. So
right. That's interesting. Okay. I guess because
the last one I was like, maybe it's Obsession again, and it was Tuner. And I was
right.
They'll do like these little small crime movies.
Because I think the way AMC does it with their mystery movies that are usually, movies that are coming out in a couple weeks, I think they tell you the genre ahead of time, which is why people can usually figure out what it is, because it's like, what's opening in the next month that is a horror movie, and they'll list the runtime, and sometimes exactly because the runtime's already out there for something, but if it's not, you can still like, that sounds like the right runtime for that.
It's interesting because the first 3 I did, and there was big gaps in between, and I hadn't done one until kind of recently. It was EFIS, which I never would have seen had it not been for this. Then it was The Luckiest Man in America, which was that press your luck like story with what's his name from Cobra Kai. And then it was like, welcome to Jurassic World Rebirth. And I'm like, what? Like, and so it was like this escalating budget of movie, which is like, I thought it was only going to be small, like tiny micro budgeted indie movies. And then it was like, here, it's Scarlett Johansson welcoming you to this movie.
By the way, I was very amused just right now because I didn't know who you meant when you said, what's his face from Cobra Kai and The Luckiest Man in America. So I think it's going to be like Sholo, or like, someone like someone
no,
like,
Stingray. What are you talking about? It's Paul Walter Hauser,
the star of Cobra Kai.
Part-time wrestler Paul Walter Hauser. Yeah.
Yes. Strange political beliefs and strange tweets, Paul Walter Hauser. Yes.
There we go. Oh, is he weirdly political? Like,
he's anti-Trump, but like he also gets like weirdly, like he gets into weird fights with people online, and like just seems to have like a really he's like one of those people that's kind of hard to figure out because he can kind of be all over the place.
I mean, you saying that human beings are actually complex and
They are.
shouldn't be easily labeled
And
as something?
who among us is more complex than Stingray is basically what I'm saying.
He's like, that's why I was drawn to this character because of the layers. Eric, talk about Halloween Horror Nights, and just going to start this off like right away by saying like I am petitioning officially to rename Halloween Horror Nights with the moniker Triple H. Now that Triple H himself is going by Paul Levesque, and that people just openly call him Paul all the goddamn time, I think Triple H should be moved to Halloween Horror Nights.
But then what's the so it's no longer nights? What's the third?
Oh, that's right, HHN. I still think it should be Triple H though. Just hot Halloween Horror Nights.
Oh, you're changing it all up. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, not a lot to say here, except well, I'll make it a lot to say. The first it's okay. The second house announced for Horror Nights at all this year, but the first announced for both coasts because the first one announced was Orlando only. Is Sinners, and this is just really cool as far as it was an obvious thing to hope for when you looked at last year's movies, and what was the biggest horror movie of the year would be, well, Sinner, and what would make a great Horror Nights house? Sinners would be a easy one to hope for, but that doesn't mean anything.
The weapons would be cool, but it doesn't lend itself necessarily to like a location like style and maze, right? Like, yeah.
And even if you're looking at like just semantics, weapons open later in the year, and these they have to make these deals, way early and whatnot. So Sinners seem like a really nice pick that we didn't know. Did they make the deal? Because again, Universal puts this on, but they make deal with outside studios, except for Disney, to do this stuff. And so very cool that Sinners has been the first one announced for both coasts. Just cool to learn it's happening. The only thing that amused me is their art for it shows they don't have likeness rights for the art for Michael B. Jordan, because it's just they have it's smoke and stack as far as you can see the different colored hats, but it's kind of an ambiguous figure underneath because they can't make it look like Michael B. Jordan. I don't think that'll have an effect in the house where they can just cast actors to play these characters. But yeah, this lends itself so great, and hopefully they can use the music. And I know Ryan Coogler was part of the statement about it. It's so funny because Matt, your favorite thing, people just saying shit on the internet, because I saw some again, I know it's stupid when you see one random loser's post, but and it sticks with you, but that's just how the internet works. I saw someone say, oh, they're going to take Ryan Coogler's complex look at his family history and all this stuff and make it into a spooky horror house and like a dismissed play. I'm like, who I bet fucking loves this? Ryan Coogler. Like, I bet Ryan Coogler is like, pretty excited that this is happening.
But also that person is saying something like, was there more to the tweet? Like, this is a disgrace, because the first part is just information. They're taking Ryan Coogler's complex layered horror movie and turning it into a scare maze. Yeah. It's like, that's just a data point. That's a bullet point in a press release. And it is not a bad thing. It is just a thing that is happening.
Yes. But anyway, this is
what?
Really
no,
cool.
No maze, Eric, for the Gorge, starring dickhead Miles Teller.
No Gorge maze.
God, that movie drove me crazy.
I liked it more than
great first like 40 minutes or whatever, and then it just was like, what if everything sucked? Okay.
I liked it more than you, although I wasn't like I loved it, but I did enjoy it.
Yeah, the lore lost me. The lore and the effects down below lost me.
Right.
The Gorge verse. I am very curious about this because our fans, I mean, it's not to say that any of our listeners do not watch Grey's Anatomy, but I feel like this is just an opportunity to talk about how long running Grey's Anatomy is.
And this is the reason.
And also the new boost from Netflix is what you want.
This is why I included it is more like the industry check-in of it all, was the 1-2 punch of hearing that Grey's Anatomy is getting another spinoff. What season is it going into? 24 this fall, I think. Sure. So Grey's Anatomy, which has been on since fucking 2005, is it's not only is it still going, but 23. I gave it an extra season. It's going to get another spinoff. But the reason I thought this was extra notable, and by the way, it's funny because it's a Texas-based spinoff, and the funny thing in the article was like saying, we don't know how it'll connect to Grey's Anatomy, which is to say, will they actually move a character over, or will they just backdoor pilot and say, hey, I'm from Texas, I'm helping out in Seattle for a week, and then he goes back to, by the way,
he's like, this is nothing like our West Texas Medical Center,
yeah,
which is in a remote location where we have very, very little access to medical care.
But we're sexy. Don't worry.
Yeah, but are we hot? Man, we're just lifting stacks of hay all day and
sex happening.
For oil.
Lots of sex happening.
Yeah, but this is, the big one, the big spinoff was Private Practice. I guess Station 19 was somehow a spinoff also.
I think it actually lasted another season than Private Practice. But what was interesting to me was earlier in the week had been a tweet, I think it was Lucas Shaw from Entertainment Reporter, noting something, which was that, Nielsen, and again, as we talked about, streaming viewership is all very strange, and do we ever have exact numbers? Who the hell knows? But Nielsen, who does monitor streaming viewership with whatever statistics they can, their report, which is always a few weeks behind because they try to gather all the info, was that in mid-April, there was a week, and there might have even been 2 weeks, but I know there was a week where the only show that Netflix had in the top 10 streaming series across all streaming was Grey's Anatomy. And the point of the tweet was that Netflix is not doing as well with their original series. And when you think about what ended last year, they lost Cobra Kai, Stranger Things, Squid Game. They lost some of their heavy hitters. And yes, they have Bridgerton and a couple others, but that maybe they're losing that buzz of these mega hits. I see Emily in Paris just announced its final season. So that was the point of the tweet, was to be like, oh, wow, look, the only show Netflix had in the top 10 this week was Grey's Anatomy, a show they don't make, and it's a catalog series that has hundreds of episodes. But it did, for me, a couple days later, seeing the spinoff news made me think, wow, Grey's Anatomy is so valuable, and that's why Disney will keep making Grey's Anatomy, because Netflix is probably keeps willing to pay a lot to have the Grey's Anatomy, which is also on Hulu, by the way. So Disney's they have it on their own.
It's interesting. They're making a show, even though their delivery system for the show isn't the one people are watching most. It's Netflix.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. Yes. And so it was interesting to me to in our current landscape. It also was interesting to me to have that noted about. I hadn't thought that, because I did see stuff like Beef season 2, and I love season 1 of Beef. I haven't seen season 2 yet, but I know its viewership was way down. I know a lot of other Netflix shows that it seems like they're suffering more from these long gaps, and they are losing a lot of viewers when they come back finally. And so there is something there also to look into, but then there's also the fact that, and we've talked about this for years, because even when they were airing stuff like The Office and Friends, the irony of the fact that Netflix was never producing shows like that, while those were shows that people would stay on Netflix and just watch because there's so much of it. And they can just just binge it. My stepmom, by the way, just got super into Gilmore Girls, which is all on Netflix. And so she just kept watching Gilmore Girls on Netflix. That's another huge catalog show that just keeps, but Netflix will almost never have a show that is going to have nearly that many episodes. Right. And so they have to keep relying on, and then you've got the fact that Disney, like all these other companies, stopped being so precious about keeping it all under their own house, because they realized that they couldn't make something.
Because that's a fucking losing battle on every front.
It was a losing battle. Netflix, they can't meet Netflix subscriber base, so let's just keep making money off of Netflix by licensing our shit there. Anyway, that's why I put the Grey's Anatomy spinoff, because it made sense to me, kind of in thinking about that big picture of that being a mega franchise, as we were just talking about Big Bang Theory going into its fourth series last week.
Big Bang Theory just going into its what?
Fourth series last week.
Oh, spinoff?
Yeah.
Wait,
yeah.
What are you talking about?
I'm just saying that Stewart fails to save the universe. Because it's been the
Sheldon. Well, it's the first non-Sheldon one, I suppose, right? So,
well,
it's the other one's Sheldon related, because it's so it's a spinoff and then a spinoff of the spinoff, right?
It's a spinoff of a spinoff. Well, the one that's on
Young Sheldon.
Yeah.
And then it's the
George and Mandy
from Young Sheldon.
But then Stewart is going back to the original Big Bang. Right. It's the first one set back in the present, albeit a post-apocalyptic present. So yeah, there you go. It's a whole thing.
All right. Let's get into another streaming series right now, one called Delphi, which is a part of it's being advertised quite a bit as part of the Creed universe, which we should also remember is just the Rocky universe. So it's the Creed Rockyverse series about up-and-coming hopeful boxers training at the gym, which will have Wood Harris returning in some capacity, in a recurring capacity, as the son of Duke, trainer of Apollo.
And
from the
there's
original-
our connection back to the first Rocky movie, because Duke was
Yes.
in all 6 Rocky movies.
And then, but then, Wood Harris was introduced in the Creed movies, and we'll continue on in this Delphi series. And you wanted to talk about the cast some? I mean, it has been cast.
I basically just wanted to mention this show because, again, it's
Amazon show. Yes.
Amazon show, which is MGM, because one of the franchises they got when they bought MGM was Rocky. And yeah, it is funny to see sort of the different ways they look to continue that franchise, because I saw at CinemaCon, Matt, the trailer to the upcoming movie I Play Rocky, which is a biopic about young Sylvester Stallone and his struggles to get Rocky made with him as the star, which is very blatantly trying to be like, look, his story is Rocky's story. The unlikely guy, the guy they said didn't have movie star looks, and they wanted to buy his script, but they didn't want him to star, and he had to agree to get less money.
Much less he didn't want, much less him directed, he didn't, but yeah, so.
But anyway, so it's funny to see they're doing that as a movie. They're Creed 4 is still being talked about. I know it's been come up with Michael B. Jordan recently, and then they're doing this TV show, which is a spinoff of Creed, but really a spinoff of Rocky, especially when you go back to the Duke of it all. And Michael B. Jordan is an EP on this show. I bet he does a cameo. I bet, especially if he's still doing Creed movies, he'll probably pop up in here.
Or maybe like at the whatever this elite academy of fighting is that these boxers are trying to train to reach the pinnacle of the sport, which is part of the summary. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's like the entranceway. It's like hologram Creed, like who enters, welcomes you as you enter the gym.
Adonis is hologram Adonis. Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll see the many different routes that Rocky / Creed take. The differing angles they take as they continue on.
All right. I think that's all the news. We rambled a bit about other things as well. Eric recommended Spider-Noir. When does that start, Eric?
Like I said, 20 is a little confusing. 20th here in America, it's the 25th on MGM Plus. Worldwide, it's the 27th on Prime. So a strange kind of double rollout.
I mean, but yeah, I don't have MGM Plus anyway. So
most people do not.
Most people do not.
Mm-hmm.
And will this make people subscribe to MGM Plus? It will not. They'll just wait 2 days. Okay. Until next time, everything is possible, but nothing is real. And Shakma.
Shakma!
Shakma!